Lesson 4, Salame Tatin Pizza. In this lesson, we complete the dough for the salami tatin. For the dough, you can follow the recipe prepared in Lesson 3. I increased the amount of water so that 65% hydration is achieved for this recipe, incorporating more liquid. Once the oil has been added and soaked up in the final stage of the dough preparation, we then move on to incorporating the extra ingredients. For this recipe, I considered using Milano salami in 2 versions. In this particular scenario, I have finely chopped the ingredient and will now incorporate it into the mixture to achieve a homogeneous blend. Then I also sliced it thinly, because this will be part of the tatin recipe that I will reveal later. Okay, so I place the salami in the bowl. Blend the diced Milano salami into the dough gradually by mixing it at a low speed, ensuring it is evenly incorporated throughout. As the salami is being slowly mixed, what should I be doing in the meantime? To prepare our dough, I take a bowl and pour in a generous amount of extra virgin olive oil. This will be where our dough will rest before cooking. It will then undergo an initial rise for 30 minutes. Alright, the dough has been thoroughly combined with the salami, so I proceed to detach everything and incorporate it into the bowl. Next, I carefully secure it, fold it slightly, and proceed to turn it around, enhancing its shape, so that it undergoes this initial rise coated in oil, preventing a crust from forming at this stage. I always remind you of the importance of the final dough temperature, between 24 and 25 degrees C. This is helpful to achieve a much more consistent and faster leavening process. The resting and rising times of our dough will adjust, depending on whether it is colder or warmer in temperature. The variation is proportional. So, the dough for our salami pizza tatin is ready. Now, I'll let it rest for about 30 minutes at room temperature in this bowl. The layer of oil I left on the walls of my bowl will prevent a crust from forming. So at this moment, I don't need to use any plastic wrap. The dough for our salami pizza tatin recipe is now ready, as it has been left to rest for a duration of 30 minutes. Now, I'll turn it out onto the counter and start dividing and rounding it. So I'll use a bit of flour to help me. Currently, we are utilizing a dough with a hydration level of 65%, resulting in a more tender and pliable dough consistency. I'll divide and shape the dough into pieces weighing about 200 grams each. I'll weigh my pieces, and as you can see, you can also notice the extra ingredient, in this case, our Milano salami that was previously diced, which we added inside the dough. What am I doing here? I'm going slowly, step by step, and fold all the outer edges inward like a handkerchief. Then I turn and shape my dough pieces. So same thing, I weigh my dough. Then, with the help of a little flour on the counter, I place it on top. Slowly, I bring all the outer edges of my dough inward. Once this is done, I flip it over, and if needed, I dry my hands with some flour. And slowly, on the clean part of the counter without flour, I form the round ball. So here too, my dough piece of about 200 grams will be just right for the salami pizza tatin with a diameter of about 26 cm. So I turn and slowly form my dough piece. The outer part of our hand moves on the counter and slowly closes our dough piece and gives it strength. After we finish cutting and shaping our dough, we carefully place the pieces into a sealed container to ensure freshness and preservation. Let the dough rise at room temperature for approximately 3 to 4 hours, whether it is summer or winter. But please note that the length of this final rising phase may vary. I have already prepared my dough balls, allowing them to rise and double in size. Now let's proceed and start creating our recipe. We are ready to create our salami pizza tatin. This recipe will involve doing everything the opposite of how we are used to doing it. Instead of placing the dough underneath, the dough will be the last ingredient to add. The thinly sliced Milano salami will practically go on the baking tray. We will then add our toppings that will be some boiled potatoes, Montasio cheese, Parmesan, eggs, salt, and pepper. And finally, we will close this preparation with the dough and it will go into the oven to bake. The delightful aromas and fragrances of our salami and cheese will be beautifully trapped within the crust of this pizza tatin, ensuring an exquisite experience for your senses. Okay. So I start by slowly spreading out the potatoes a bit, adding a pinch of salt here. Let's always keep in mind that we also have the cheeses that will add flavor. Some pepper, I'm going to grind it now, black pepper. I mix it a bit. Then I add the Montasio cheese. The Parmesan, in this case grated. I've created some flakes that also retain a bit more flavor during cooking. And finally, I finish with the eggs. I give them a light mix. And then I add it to the mixture. Slowly, I try to combine everything. We're ready, and we move on to line our baking dish with the first ingredient, which is our thinly sliced Milano salami, about 1 millimeter thick. So in this case, the Milano salami is very special because it has a fine texture, so it has a very fine fat content. The peculiarity is that it is a very historical salami, very ancient, dating back to the Middle Ages. In this case, the spices percentage and saltiness greatly complement the potatoes and cheeses, creating a harmonious blend. The ingredients used in this concoction create an impeccable combination, resulting in a flawless marriage. So I proceed to place my salami, also letting it slide along the edge. I also used a bit of parchment paper. If the baking dish or pan is not very non-stick, using parchment paper can be beneficial in preventing food from sticking. And it will also help to quickly flip our tatin when it's ready. And now, we are prepared to incorporate our filling. Carefully begin in the middle and gently distribute it towards the edges, applying equal pressure throughout. From here, I now take the dough and proceed to close my salami pizza tatin. So I use a bit of remilled semolina flour, which helps me dry my dough ball well. Detach your ball if it is also a bit attached to the others. In this case, I also flip it onto the counter surface, coat it with flour, and ensure it's completely devoid of moisture. And then what do? I flip the moist part over, placing it underneath, and start pressing gently. I must handle the dough delicately, as I open the ball, ensuring no crust is formed in the process. Break time 1.0. I can continue to open it on the counter, or I can slowly help myself with my hands, either by opening it with a sort of slap technique, also called Neapolitan slap, or by gently spreading my dough with the back of my hands. Once I've reached the size to line my baking sheet, I slowly place the dough on top of it. 1.0. I go inside, attempting to evenly cover the entire surface of my baking tray. It might be a bit difficult without using a rolling pin, but this is a pizza that really allows us to learn. Also to open our dough with our hands, because here the ingredients shouldn't be on top since it's a pizza tatin, so it's a much easier pizza to handle. Since the rolling pin would become useless due to the salami we incorporated into the mixture, there would be no purpose in using it. So in this case, I suggest you practice handling your dough with this salami pizza tatin to start opening the dough with your hands, instead of using a rolling pin. Once our salami pizza tatin is lined, I proceed to add some extra virgin olive oil. And then I create small holes, so that during baking, the dough rises evenly, and the air escapes perfectly. When preparing this pizza tatin recipe, if we want, we can also make small tears all over the dough to facilitate the release of moisture from the mixture inside. Okay, we're ready, and here we go straight into wine. the oven at the maximum temperature of 220 to 230 degrees C. Start by placing it on the base of the oven for the first 10 minutes, so I'll put the tray directly on the oven floor. After 10 minutes I'll move it to the middle rack and finish baking. The total baking time will be about 20 minutes. Our salami pizza tatin is ready. Now I'm going to flip it over. So I place my cutting board and turn it upside down. From here, I remove the tray with the paper. And here we have our salami pizza tatin. That was created all upside down. So our beautiful inverted salami pizza. The dough base is now underneath with our potatoes and cheese topping, and the salami is on top so it has been cooked without suffering the stress of the oven. If we want to have a crunch on the salami part as well, we can put our pizza tatin back in the oven for another 2 to 3 minutes. I enjoy it when our dough combines the delicate texture of salami with a satisfying crunch, just the way it is. I'm going to add some thyme leaves, and this salami pizza tatin is ready. Our salami pizza tatin is ready. We've reached the end of this wonderful recipe as well. Our salami pizza tatin, this upside-down pizza, made entirely in reverse. I practically chose to make this recipe to better highlight the salami. So, instead of letting it suffer during cooking on an open pizza, I decided to enclose it within this treasure chest. With the softness of the boiled potatoes and 2 types of cheese, and this dough base that retains all the aromas kept inside. Upon tasting, it proved perfect. The softness of the potato blends with the crunchiness and the savoriness of the Milano salami. This fine grain, this fat that melts during cooking, all its aromas that remain preserved right inside, are just perfect for our pizza tatin. And now it's Francesca's turn, who will prepare a delicious lasagna with pancetta.